Zhu Yang was a hero who took down the Demon King in a different world. He got summoned by a goddess to save her world, which was falling apart. After spending 20 years there, she was ready to send him back home. The wild part? Not a single second passed in his own world during that time, so when he returns, it's like he never left. But there's a catch. He'll forget everything about those 20 years. Before sending him back, the goddess rewards him with a piece of godly power, but she's super vague about what that even means. After a bunch of mystical mumbo-jumbo, she finally sends him back to his original world. Juan wakes up thinking it's just another normal day. He grabs his phone and sees a ton of messages from his manager, who's clearly not happy. Juan rushes out the door, skipping breakfast, and faces his manager's anger for being late. Back at work, he feels like a corporate drone, disillusioned and struggling to pay his rent. He's juggling multiple part-time jobs just to get by. If only he had awakened earlier, things might have been different. Just as he's lost in thought, a notification pops up in front of him. He's unlocked a unique ability called Skill Master. Now here's the scoop on this whole awakening thing. People like Julian are called users. It's been 5 years since augmented reality took over, and fields filled with monsters have started popping up everywhere. Users can explore these fields and make money, which is why everyone wants to be one. Sure, it's risky, but the rewards are tempting. Some users get amazing abilities right away, while others don't get so lucky. At the top of the user hierarchy is Muhammad Al, the #1 rank user. He's the first to reach level 70 and has a super rare ability called Dragon Speech. One day, he posts a video showcasing his insane power using a spell called Meteor Rain that can wipe out everything in its path. People are left speechless, and the field he destroyed was an A grade 1, which is no small feat. In the video, Muhammad challenges all users to show him a magic trick better than his Meteor Rain, promising a rare artifact called the Elemental Ring to the winner. This ring is the only known SS-grade artifact, and everyone dreams of owning it. In a cafeteria, 2 users are chatting about Muhammad's challenge. They're bummed out because it seems impossible to match his level of power. One thinks it's just a trap, as no one could possibly have an SS-grade ability, and even if they did, they'd never get the ring unless Muhammad himself approved. The challenge goes viral, becoming the hottest topic everywhere. It seems like no one could ever meet that high bar, until Julian steps up. Standing in a field, he flicks his finger and meteors start raining down from the sky, destroying everything in sight. After the chaos, he gives a casual thumbs up, silently thanking Muhammad for the inspiration. Everyone watching is completely shocked. The internet explodes with comments, and the biggest question on everyone's mind is, who is this guy? And that's where the story takes another turn, diving deeper into the world of awakenings and unique abilities. When users awaken, they usually get one unique trait that boosts their skills, kind of like a class in a video game. Some of the most famous traits include Dragon Speech, which makes a mage super powerful, Miracle, which can heal and even bring people back to life, Regeneration, turning someone into a tough tank who can grow back limbs, and Lethal Strike, which makes a user a fierce warrior. But Julian's new trait, Skill Master, isn't mentioned anywhere, and he can't find much info about it online. He learns that unique traits are graded, with higher grades meaning better effects and more sub-traits. The grades go from F to SS. When Julian checks his trait, he finds it's an unknown X grade. He looks at his stats and feels let down because they're pretty low. Normally, a high-grade trait should come with a stat boost, so it's odd that his stats are so weak. He checks his sub-traits and finds only 2, which is disappointing since he expected more. Feeling confused and lacking solid info about his trait, Julian gets a system prompt for a tutorial quest. The quest tells him to copy a skill, and if he does, he'll earn 20 SP. But there's a catch. Any copied skills disappear at midnight. This quest is unexpected, and the idea of going out into the fields to watch other users seems risky, especially with his low stats. But he knows he needs to find a skill to copy to complete the quest. Then he remembers Muhammad Al, who showcased a powerful skill called Meteor Rain. After watching the video, the system shows him all the details about the skill. Juan is surprised to find he can copy it just by watching the video from home. Suddenly, he's all over the news for winning the challenge, and Muhammad is smiling at the coverage. His secretary, however, is worried about Muhammad giving away the elemental ring so easily. Muhammad isn't too concerned about the ring, he's more intrigued that someone else is using the skill he just got. The secretary points out that there are many skills like Meteor Rain, but Muhammad insists it's a coincidence that Julian's skill is also SS grade and has the same name. She's still skeptical, suggesting they haven't confirmed its grade yet and it could be a staged show of power. But Muhammad believes it's at least SS grade and wants to be friends with Julian, so he asks her to deliver a business card along with the ring. Meanwhile, Julian is obsessively rewatching his own video, enjoying the attention. A little girl at the counter is trying to get his attention, but he's too caught up in his own hype to notice. Eventually, her dad gets annoyed with Julian for slacking off. After finishing his shift, he slumps in his chair, feeling defeated. He thought he'd get something great after completing the challenge, but he's still just a regular guy. Just a few days ago, he felt invisible, but now he's starting to believe in himself a bit more. He dreams of making enough money to live comfortably and maybe even become as strong as Muhammad Al. While he's lost in thought, a notification pops up. It's a comment from Muhammad Al on his video, promising the reward for winning the challenge. The internet goes wild and even Julian can't believe it. Cut to Julian sitting stiffly next to a secretary who's come to deliver the promised gift. She drives him home in a fancy car and he's still in shock. Back in his room, he stares at the elemental ring, unsure if it's real or a glitch. The system shows him the ring's stats, and they're incredible, like top-tier loot. Julian realizes he can't just sit around. This ring gives him a chance to train seriously. He knows he needs to level up, but he doesn't have money for proper gear. His viral video brought in cash, but he can't access it without verifying his identity, which he's not keen on doing. So, he brainstorms a plan. Instead of risking his life in the fields, he decides to set up a healing service outside. Healing is a good way to make money, and just patching up people at the entrance can earn him a lot. Julian has copied a C-grade healing skill that can fix fractures, amputations, and status ailments. He can charge 200,001 for fractures, 500,01 for amputations, and 700,01 for status ailments. Not bad for a day's work. The next morning, Uwan sets up camp outside a D-rank swamp field near Seoul Grand Park. He didn't choose this spot on purpose. All the good locations were already taken. With no customers around, he scrolls through his phone, thinking he should bring something fun next time to pass the time. At least he's in a safe zone, or so he thinks. Suddenly, a guy comes charging at him, carrying a seriously injured woman. The man looks intense, like a storm in human form, and Julian freezes, forgetting to breathe. The man demands that Julian start healing, and that tone really rubs him the wrong way. It reminds him of those rude customers at the convenience store who acted like they owned the place. Just as he's about to snap back, the guy offers him a hefty 200,001 up front. Julian quickly switches to customer service mode, but then he sees the woman's severed arm and his stomach twists. The man sets the arm in place and insists on starting the healing. Julian forces himself to look. The injury is so gruesome it feels like the air around him is recoiling. He's not sure if his C-grade healing will be enough, but he has to try, so he activates his Light of Recovery skill. After helping the injured woman, Julian flops onto his bed at home, feeling completely drained. He made good money, but using his healing skill 3 times really took it out of him. Without the elemental ring, he wouldn't have been able to do it. He can't help but wonder how that party got into such a mess in the first place. It's clear that fields are dangerous, and he needs to be careful. Still, he's grateful. This job is way better than dealing with stingy customers who think spending a little money gives them the right to yell. Now that he has enough cash to get by for a while, he decides to focus on earning SP and leveling up. Suddenly, a tutorial quest pops up telling him to raise the level of his sub-trait called Passive Income. This trait is key for gaining SP, which is crucial for his skill master growth. Julian learns that he can level up his sub-traits with SP, and it takes 100 SP to upgrade Passive Income. This skill gives him 10 SP every 24 hours, and if he spends 100 SP to upgrade it, he'll get 100 SP back as a quest reward. It's a win-win situation. so he knows he needs to upgrade it. After checking his total SP, he realizes he'll have to wait 3 days to gather enough points for the upgrade. During that time, he decides to experiment with copying new skill combinations. Just then, room service arrives with all the delicious food he ordered. He digs in while watching other users with unique traits, especially focusing on S-grade skills, which are almost legendary at this point. The downside is that any skills he copies will disappear at midnight, so he needs to record the videos on his phone to watch later. Juin can't stop thinking about how Muhammad Al showed up out of nowhere and demonstrated his SS grade skill, which Juin then copied. He still needs to figure out how to keep those copied skills for longer. Maybe if he upgrades his skill master trait enough, he can hold on to them. He organizes all the videos into a playlist, prioritizing which skills to use later. He adds body hardening traits and teleportation skills to the list, among others. After binge watching and stuffing himself with food, Juin feels like a balloon ready to pop. He's excited because he's registered as a healer with the User Association, and with all these skills, his value as a user is bound to rise. He can't wait for the day when he's the center of attention. The next day, the injured woman from a few days ago comes back to thank him. She's fully healed and shows off her abilities, but Juin doesn't recognize her at first. When she reminds him that her brother brought her in for healing, he finally remembers her. She's grateful and asks if he's part of any party. Juin says no, and she invites him to join her party, since she needs a temporary healer. He's surprised by the offer, but since he's not ready for the fields yet, he declines. Just then, they're interrupted by a loud, whiny guy being dragged in by his friend, needing immediate healing. Juin ignores the woman and gets to work on the injured guy. He quickly heals him, earning a nice chunk of change. Even though he promised to join the woman's party, he's raking in enough money already and feels his level is too low for field work, so he awkwardly declines her offer again. She tries to convince him, mentioning they have an S-grade tank and mage to back him up, but Juin packs up his stuff and heads out, still saying no. He remembers how she came, and Juin, known as the Fire Psycho, has been going wild taking down low-level monsters all by himself. A bunch of greedy players have noticed his crazy skills and have been trying to recruit him into their guild. Juin plays it cool, reminding them that he turned down an offer from a top-tier SR rank player, which is pretty funny considering how he ran away looking all depressed. He doesn't remember laughing while hunting, but during the actual battles, he finds himself giggling like a villain enjoying the chaos. As he defeats monsters, he earns the SP points he needs and reduces the cost of his copy skill, which is a relief since he's been looking for ways to keep hunting without breaking the bank. While browsing the community forum, he stumbles upon a post about a raid on an obsidian bear boss. The comments are buzzing with shock over how the Fire Psycho took down the bear without any gear while still being a low level. Juin reflects that he managed to do it by spamming fireballs, which didn't require much else. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head. He remembers the gift he got from Muhammad Al, the top-ranked user, and how he still owes him for the ring. Flashback to the raid against the obsidian bear. The boss was going berserk, and the tanks had to step up to handle its rage while the mages stayed back. Juin was excited because he had a quest to defeat the boss, promising him 500 story points. The obsidian bear was causing chaos until Juin casually hit it with a fireball, dealing massive damage. The party leader was shocked to see this fire mage acting so nonchalant. Juin kept firing fireballs until the bear was knocked down, but then it roared loudly, unleashing an A-rank skill that debuffed everyone's stats. The players were weakened and struggling to stand, while the bear focused its fury on the group leader, who could barely defend himself. Just then, Juin got a system notification for an additional quest to copy the boss's skill, and he was given a free copy slot to do it. Thanks to the system's appraisal feature, he could inspect the bear's skill before copying it. He activated the copying effect and inherited the bear's roar, but with a twist. The skill had a nerf that removed the condition of needing 50% health to use it. Juin was amazed that he could use the skill without any costs or conditions, feeling like he was cheating. Knowing the skill would disappear at midnight, he took the chance and unleashed his version of the obsidian bear's roar. His companions were stunned as their stats dropped, thinking the bear had roared again. Instead, It was Julian, who had just buffed his own stats by 9. With a smirk, he walked up to the bear and created a massive fireball, unleashing it on the creature that had caused them so much trouble. The group was left in awe as Julian took down the obsidian bear. After defeating the boss, Julian leveled up twice and got to keep the copied skill. He also earned a whopping 700 SP points, which was fantastic. His group celebrated, chanting about how cool he looked, taking down the boss all by himself. The scene reminded him of when he defeated the demon lord in that other world. The system absorbed the bear's soul, boosting Julian's stats, which was a new experience for him. Boss monsters are usually 10 levels higher than the average field, so if someone tries to use a higher level player to kill the boss, the field recognizes it and makes the corpse disappear. Without the corpse, players can't get valuable drops, which is why hunting bosses is so popular. Players want those boss items to drop, and in this case, one of the guys found an item from the obsidian bear. The party was thrilled, because the drops made their efforts worthwhile, and they could sell the boss's corpse for a good price. Julian was excited about his strength stat boost, and after the raid, everyone in the party was praising him for making the victory look easy. The raid leader mentioned how he expected injuries after the bear went berserk, but thanks to Julian, they avoided that. As the raid leader checked the dropped item, he noted that it had an activation condition requiring the player to be below 30% health, which meant you'd be on your last legs when it was useful. The raid leader said the items would be distributed based on the player association's rules. However, one guy in the group wanted to buy the boss item right away and was ready to pay 90% of its value in cash. The party members murmured about opportunists who only showed up when boss items dropped, known as boss item hunters. Even though they were offering a fair price, Julian felt a bit skeptical and sensed something was off. One of the bodyguards opened a case full of cash, confirming they could process the payment. The scene shifts to Jian, chilling in his usual rundown field, but this time he's feeling pretty low. Even though he just scored 10 million, it doesn't cut it for him. Why? Because he's got his eyes set on this fancy Rectus leather armor set that costs a staggering 63 million. Just the thought of it is enough to crush his spirits. He finds out there are only 2 sets left, and it hits him hard. Jian's got expensive taste, but he's stuck in a poor man's life. Determined to change his luck, Jian focuses on grinding for more cash. He checks his status window to see what rewards he can snag from his tutorial quest. Lucky for him, he can access some boss monster skills, but there's a catch. He has to drop below 50% health to use them. No biggie though, he's more into using his fire skill for fun. With no customers bothering him, he decides to pump some of his saved points into buffing his stat. He's got a ton of options. He could go the warrior route, but that sounds too risky for him right now. Instead, he notices a boost in his magic power and spends 500 points to enhance his copy skill, allowing him to use it 1 extra time each day. That's a win. The tutorial also mentions that daily quests are the best way to earn SP points, and he gets a new quest to use his copy skill twice. Easy money, right? He's curious about what happens if he copies the same skill twice, so he goes ahead and copies the healing light skill. To his surprise, he can copy it again, even though the system warns him not to. Ignoring the warning, he does it anyway and is thrilled. He updates his sign to announce that he's now offering healing services along with a 5% experience buff for every million he charges. This catches the attention of a bunch of players who gather around, shocked by his offer. They think he might be a scammer, but Jian is just waiting for them to throw cash at him. Suddenly, a mage approaches him, revealing herself to be an S-rank player from earlier. She teases him about joining their party, and Jian is totally taken in by her looks. He tells her he's busy with business, but she insists on being his first customer. Jian treats her like royalty and activates his healing light ability, giving her a 5% combat experience boost. She hands him her card and number, saying she'll be waiting for his call. She's on the lookout for a good healer, and it seems she's got a soft spot for Jian. More importantly, she vouches for his service, which brings in a flood of customers eager to get in on the action. Jian is feeling rich as bills start piling up. Meanwhile, we check in on the mage and her brother. He's annoyed that she's so into a guy who doesn't even have good gear. She reminds him that with Jian on their team, they'll be unstoppable. They're already skilled, and adding a reliable healer with experience buffs is a jackpot. Her brother is skeptical since Jian is a newbie, but she thinks that's the best part. They can snag him before anyone else realizes his potential. Back in the dungeon, the S-rank mage unleashes a powerful attack, taking down a group of warrior lizards. She believes Jian has a bright future as a warrior. With the cash from his sales, Jian finally buys his armor and looks sharp. Now he's in the mood for passive income instead of chasing after quick cash. He learns he can earn 50 to 200 points daily just by existing, which is a nice bonus. As he calculates how many points he needs for his next skill upgrade, he realizes it'll cost him a whopping 4,000 points. With daily quests giving him 200 points a day, he figures he'll have to wait about 49 days to get what he wants. For now, he decides to focus on raising his stats first. He thinks another field battle would be a good idea, so he puts on his hoodie and remembers he's known as a healer. He's ready to play the part of a mage, while keeping his identity under wraps. The scene shifts to the field battle, but the muddy ground ruins his outfit. This area, known as Gorum Bay, is tough for attackers and tanks. Jian wonders if this place is meant for beginners. He recalls warnings from online forums about the Obsidian Bear raid, hoping nothing goes wrong this time. All he wants is to go home, but the players around him are just chatting away, driving him nuts. One guy even questions if Jian is really a guy because of his name. Meanwhile, the girls are getting flirty with a blonde dude who clearly doesn't know when to chill. Jian regrets not checking out his teammates before joining this raid. The blonde guy suggests they start a briefing, but Jian is annoyed by how Jin is watching the chaos unfold, wondering what the team's strategy is. Even the crab seems confused by their pathetic attempts to attack. The whole raid feels slow and tedious, and with the crab's tough shell, their arrows aren't doing a thing. The blonde guy, acting like a hero, finally decides to step in, but it's way too late. Jian casually asks one of the girls for a buff, but it turns out to be just a morale boost, not a real buff. If Jen were in charge, he'd let the crab take them all out. After waiting for their cringe fest to end, Jian realizes they need a powerful attack to take down the crab. To his surprise, the blonde guy reveals a special skill called Radiant Power, which is a double S rank. It gives tons of buffs based on the target's rank. Jian feels like he hit the jackpot discovering this skill in such a lame field. He remembers a conversation with a saleswoman about how players like to record their battles, and it turns out his glasses can do just that. This means he can access the skill whenever he wants. If he combines Radiant Power with the crab's skill, he could create an awesome combo that boosts his stats. The blonde guy, now empowered, decides it's time to show off. He asks Jian to hit the crab with a strong attack. Jian conjures a massive fireball that deals serious damage. Just to make it even better, he activates a special skill that detonates the fireball for even more damage. The crab is cooked, and the battle ends anticlimactically. The blonde guy, thinking he's about to finish off the crab, rushes in, swinging at a creature that's already defeated. He's so clueless that he doesn't even realize how ridiculous he looks, and his teammates are just as baffled. Jian notices that he's now got the crab's change resistance skill in his arsenal. All he wants to do is head home. But suddenly everyone is looking at him, praising him for his powerful attack. The jealous blonde tries to redirect the attention to item distribution, but Jian is just glad the girl is still supporting him. However, his heart sinks when she starts fawning over Jian instead. The group decides to give Jian the biggest share of the loot because of his contribution. Meanwhile, an agent observes the situation and reports back that there are no item drops from the boss, so they'll move on to the next location. As this is happening, one of the girls, Huju, gazes into the sky with a mysterious look, hinting that she has more secrets than she lets on. In the next scene, Jian defeats a bunch of monsters, completing his daily quest and earning 300 points. But all this grinding to reach level 3 has worn him out. He tests the potential of the two skills he has by merging their effects, and while the buffs are amazing, there's a big problem. He checks his status and realizes he doesn't have enough copy counts to use the effects properly. Since both skills are buffs, he can't really buff anything else without a third copy slot. This makes the combination useless for now, and he's frustrated because he just wants to gather more SP to level up. Lying in a quiet field, Jian hopes for a miracle to grant him a special quest for more points. Just when he thinks it's hopeless, a system notification pops up with a special tutorial quest. The quest requires him to complete the main quest, and the reward is a whopping 4,000 SP, exactly what he needs to reach level 3. Jian is shocked and wonders what kind of main quest it will be. Suddenly, the sky changes and an island appears out of nowhere. This new area, called the Sky Island, is filled with aerial monsters, and the quest is to clear it. The system warns that this island poses a threat to Earth, and its appearance is causing panic everywhere. The player association is in emergency mode, suspending all flights, and people are feeling the effects, like not getting enough sunlight. Meanwhile, other countries are experiencing similar phenomena, with special fields popping up all over the globe. In Japan, things are looking even worse than in Korea. Instead of a sky island, they're dealing with a B-class level field where monsters over level 70 are wreaking havoc in Tokyo. Just one of these beasts is as strong as an S-rank warrior, which means the Koreans are actually in a better spot since they're not facing such high-level threats. The player association realizes that these special fields are a serious danger to humanity, so they're asking the government for help to raid the problematic areas as soon as possible. They're planning a strategy to tackle the Sky Island, and players who join the raid will get a sweet reward for their efforts. Gene is feeling pretty chill, but he knows things have taken a turn for the worse. While messing around with the system, he looks for a way to earn more SP without putting in too much effort. He feels like he's playing a gacha game. As he checks the quest details, he figures out that completing the main quest will give him enough SP to level up all his traits. This motivates him to help clear the special field even more. A staff member finally shows up with the artifact Jian asked about. He opens the box and uses his appraisal skill to check the stats. The cursed ring and bracelet don't seem that special. They give an extra 100 mana but take away some strength and agility. If he gets the full set, he'll have 400 extra mana, which is a solid boost for his magic. Even if his other stats drop a bit, he thinks it's worth it. He also considers buying some mid-range armor, but when he asks for the price, he nearly has a heart attack when he hears it's 400 million. He plays it cool though, acting like it doesn't bother him. Fast forward to Jian and the other players waiting at the entrance. He's not enjoying the glasses he bought, so he splurged on a body cam instead, wondering why he didn't just get that from the start. As usual, he checks community reviews for warnings. The comments reveal that the monsters in the field are way stronger than expected, and many players are getting wiped out. The forum admins even post a warning for melee fighters to stay out of the battle since the monsters are airborne. Players are also struggling to breathe properly because of the Sky Island's altitude. All this bad news makes Jian think they might be facing a D-rank field instead of an F-rank one. He brushes off the worries, thinking the others are just overreacting, until he suddenly gets pulled into the entrance and teleports to the island. The change in scenery is striking and cool, but he quickly realizes the monsters aren't as chill as he thought. He hears a loud scream and turns to see an aerial monster grab one of the players, who is terrified. The monster drops him from a height, killing him instantly. Jian's day is going downhill as a bunch of griffin-like creatures start circling him, but he's ready to fight back with his fireball skill. To his surprise, the monsters ignore him and go after a tank nearby. Jian recognizes the tank as the S-rank mage and her brother. The monsters charge at their shield, but they're safe thanks to the barrier. This gives the mage a chance to unleash her firestorm ability from behind the shield, engulfing the creatures in flames and taking them down. Jian is impressed by the damage she's dealing. He didn't expect them to be that strong. The baddie is feeling a bit underwhelmed by their current situation, while her brother reminds her to stay alert. Jian is weighing his options, thinking about how he already copied the fireball skill and wondering if he should be greedy and try to copy Firestorm too. The baddie complains to her brother that having a healer around could have saved her from some serious injuries, and she regrets not recruiting Jian for his healing skills. Just then, she spots Jian struggling to shake off a bunch of cute slimes that are clinging to his legs. Jian feels a wave of embarrassment when he realizes they're watching him. It's a pretty humiliating moment, and he's not feeling great about it. The slimes end up helping him out, but he's still worried about his expensive shoes, acting like they're worth a fortune. The tank isn't impressed by Jian's antics, and hopes his sister will finally stop obsessing over him. But to his surprise, she's grinning from ear to ear, still smitten with the healer. The mage starts teasing Jian, saying it's like the universe wants them to team up. This is bad news for Jian since he wanted to hunt solo and can't reveal his true powers in front of them. The baddie reassures him that he has nothing to worry about and promises to help him through the special field. Realizing he doesn't have much choice, Jian accepts his fate and decides to copy the healing ability again. He tells them he'll be back after a quick bathroom break, but he doesn't realize there's no cover around, making his excuse pretty weak. He starts to panic because if he can't watch a video, he can't copy a skill either. He doubles down on the bathroom excuse, feeling like he's his own worst enemy. A few moments later, the trio is attacked by the same monsters, but this time they're smarter and come at them with huge boulders to break the tank's shield. Jian knows he's outmatched with his limited powers. Just as he's about to cast a spell, the baddie steps up confidently, winking at him as if to say she's got this. She unleashes a firewall, along with fire rain and fire spear, taking down all the monsters without breaking a sweat. Jian is left stunned, realizing he didn't even have to lift a finger. Impressed by her skills, he asks if Saren rank players usually have that many abilities. She confirms it, but explains that she learned them by buying skill books, which can be pretty pricey. As they move on to their next opponent, an aquatic beast, Jian stands at the back feeling bored and a bit down. He decides to activate his version of Fireball, and to his surprise, it's way bigger than usual. He's shocked by how powerful it is. The baddie notices and comments that his Fireball is even stronger than hers. Jian realizes he forgot about his overcharge skill, which boosts damage by 20% at the cost of some mana. He tries to play it cool, saying it's just a defensive skill he picked up as a healer, but the baddie isn't buying it. She asks how much mana he has left, and Jian, being a smooth talker, tells her it's a decent amount, even though it's actually a lot for a typical healer. Thanks to his mana reserves, he can use that Fireball strike at least 13 more times, but he doesn't want to go all out since he's supposed to be playing the healer role. Jian's not making his tank buddy happy at all. The other players are starting to doubt Jian's abilities, so he knows he has to be careful and only use his skills when absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, another party is busy taking down the cute little slimes. The guy with the bowl cut wants them to focus on the flying monsters instead, but his friend is annoyed that they're wasting time on the weak slimes instead of tackling the real threat. They jokingly tell him to go fight a big monster and die like a true player. Suddenly, the system announces that enough monsters have been defeated to summon the boss. The players think they'll finish this off quickly, but they're in for a surprise. The boss is a massive creature known as the Lord of the Sky Island. When it appears, it looks like an angelic being, but don't let that fool you. This guy is incredibly strong. He activates a skill called the Sword of the Heavens, summoning a sword for every monster killed on the island. Each sword increases damage by 1%, and as long as he's on the island, he can unleash a barrage of swords on the players. Hiji's brother struggles to defend against the hundreds of swords raining down, while the other players are having a rough time. Even the tank is reaching his limits. Blocking the swords inflicts a debuff that lowers all their stats for a full 10 minutes, which is a long time in this situation. Jian focuses on healing the tank while keeping an eye on the level 59 boss monster, which has most of its skills at level A or higher. Jian's expression shows he's got a plan, but it's a funny one. He suggests they should just run away while they still can. Meanwhile, players on the forum are trashing the boss monster for being ridiculously strong. It seems he's taken down 1,000 players all by himself, turning the Sky Island into a graveyard. The boss reappears, and this time one of its wings has turned black, but it's still the same rampaging monster. The swords rain down again, and now the players are hit with a second debuff that drains their energy. Remember those cute little slimes? Well, it turns out they were a good idea to kill after all, because they spawned creepy monsters that are now attacking the players while they're weakened. John watches the battle video and realizes they made a smart move by escaping last time. He knows he can't mess around, especially with the boss's debuff kicking in. Suddenly, Hiji calls out to him, asking if he's tried raiding the Sky Island again since they last met. Jian admits he hasn't because he's not ready. but they can't waste time as the special fields are affecting the whole planet. The worst part is that, like in Japan, the monsters from the Sky Island are starting to leave and wreak havoc in the cities. Seoul is in serious trouble, and things are only going to get worse. Heiji tells Jian that they've formed a big team to take on the boss monster specifically, and asks if he's going to join them. This news makes Jian feel good. A few days pass, and the raid team gathers, ready to take on the challenge ahead. At Grand Park, where our main guy usually does his thing, a bunch of players are gathered, surprised to see so many big names on the team. They're here for a meeting to lay out their plans. John, feeling like a total outsider among these elite B rankers, is a bit anxious, especially since he's not dressed in his usual robe. Just then, Ki waves him over, which is a relief since he's feeling nervous around all these strangers. Jian, on the other hand, can't help but point out that John is just a lowly F-rank player. So what's he doing with the big shots? Heiji jumps in, reminding everyone that even though John's rank is low, his healing skills are top-notch, and they'll need all the help they can get for the mission. Finally, the raid team leader shows up, and everyone's buzzing with excitement. This guy is a big deal, an SS-class warrior from the #1 guild. He kicks things off by saying they need to check out everyone's skills before diving into the boss fight, so they're going to do a warm-up session first. Hai is super pumped, hoping to get some payback from their last encounter, while John is just in shock. The leader's no-nonsense approach leaves everyone silent, and he looks pretty badass while doing it. In the field, Hyung, the leader, takes down a bunch of lizard warriors with ease, impressing Jian even more. But Jiyoung quickly reminds himself that he's not on Hyung's level, and that trying to fight like him would be a death wish. His low stats mean he needs to stick to magic, which has been working for him thanks to an elemental ring. He feels a sense of nostalgia watching Hyung swing his sword, but he knows he has to play it safe and focus on healing for now. As he watches, a voice from his past echoes in his mind, reminding him of the time he defeated a demon lord in another world. Seeing Hyung's skill in action makes him realize he can't let his own abilities go to waste. Stunned, Jiyoung observes Hyung's double S-ranked skill, which lets him absorb the stats of the monsters he defeats. This skill boosts his magic and agility, making him a serious threat. After taking down the lizard warriors, the boss monster, a poison lizard named Kinga, shows up. The players are on alert, but Hyung isn't worried. He activates his special ability, boosting his attack power for a short time, and takes out the boss with one swift strike before it can even react. The boss goes down, and everyone gets a stat boost from its defeat. The raid wraps up smoothly, but Hai feels a bit left out since she didn't get to show off her skills. Meanwhile, Jian is pleasantly surprised that even without doing much, everyone still gets rewards. Hai explains that it's because of John's constant buffs that he automatically earned contribution points. John was curious about how healers leveled up so quickly, but now he's starting to see that being a support player is actually pretty straightforward. After their warm-up, Hyung tells everyone he'll handle the organization before they hand out rewards. While he goes on and on about it, John zones out, his mind drifting to a new ability called the Catalyst that he got after defeating the boss. He wonders if he can use it effectively, but honestly, he's more excited about the powerful new skills he just unlocked, both rated over S rank, which are great for boosting physical stats. The leader notices John's spaced-out expression and questions if he's okay. At this point, John doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to head home and start experimenting with his new skills. Days go by, and the raid party still hasn't made it to the Sky Island. John is feeling completely worn out and decides to check his status. He's finally racked up 4,000 points, which means he can take down the boss monster without breaking a sweat. It's funny how he got those points. He had to defeat 120 monsters in his daily raids just to reach this level. Quests keep popping up so often that he barely gets a chance to rest. But he's still happy to be getting them, even if it leaves him exhausted. Suddenly, John perks up with excitement as the system upgrades his copy skill to level 3 after spending those 4,000 points. Initially, he wanted to combine the two skills he got from a previous raid to boost his physical stats, but with Hyung around, he now has access to even crazier skills. He's craving a fourth copy slot to make the most of his best abilities. Just imagine stacking 3 powerful buffs on one attack. That's what John is aiming for, and he thinks that might even put him ahead of Hyung. For now though, he'll have to make do with the 3 slots he has, so he copies Fireball, Brilliant Authority, and Resistance to Change for the next raid. In the next scene, John faces off against a monster, grinning because he knows it's about to get wrecked by his new buffs. His rampage in the field has caught the attention of players online, and he's now known as the Psychopath who can one-shot enemies with Fireball. One video shows him expertly luring a field boss away from the main group, and just as the giant serpent lunges at him, he unleashes a massive fireball that deals crazy damage in one hit. His mysterious identity is becoming a hot topic, with people questioning if he's really a mage because of his insane speed. As he focuses on the serpent, John saves a couple of players by blasting it with Fireball, then takes off running when the snake chases him. But it doesn't matter. Another Fireball is enough to clear anything in his way. Players are amazed at how he chips away at the boss's health with his continuous attacks. Meanwhile, we check in with the top player in the game, Muhammad, who has some free time to kill. He's watching the same video of John taking down the mountain snake and feels satisfied. His assistant asks if he's worried about the infamous psychopath, and Muhammad nods, convinced that this player is actually John. It hasn't been long since John got the elemental ring from him, and that ring shouldn't affect his stamina, so his recent achievements must come from other skills. Watching John fight, Muhammad sees someone who looks like a pro on the battlefield, as if he has tons of combat experience. While Muhammad admires John, our boy is actually freaking out facing the mountain snake, even if he looks cool to everyone else. Muhammad expresses interest in the Raider Guild and asks for updates on them. His assistant mentions that there have been many sightings of them lately. Hearing this, he tells her to keep a close watch on both John and the Raider Guild because it's clear that John is going to get more attention as time goes on. Muhammad doesn't want the Raider Guild messing with someone he considers a friend. On the other side, the boss of the Raider Guild is also watching the same video of John taking down the mountain snake under his Psychopath alias. This means the Raider Guild is keeping tabs on John's activities, so he needs to be careful. Yu Yen scrolls through social media and gets instantly fired up when he sees a certain video. His jaw clenches and he grinds his teeth in frustration because he did all the hard work, yet the people who posted the video are the ones cashing in without lifting a finger. To make matters worse, his face isn't even in the video, which only adds to his anger and makes him question if he even has a right to any publicity at this point. Then, a light bulb goes off in his head. Why not upload the video himself? Without wasting any time, he grabs his phone, ready to record the footage with a clear plan. This time, he wants to monetize his channel and earn that cash himself. He even thinks of a catchy clickbait title to attract views. John starts daydreaming about how uploading the footage from this raid could blow up and bring him tons of views. He considers creating a new account so people wouldn't connect him to his infamous psychopath persona. He imagines getting rich overnight from ad revenue, picturing himself receiving a shiny gold play button just from one video. With a smug grin, he enjoys the fantasy of living in luxury, but then reality hits him hard. He realizes he has no idea how to gather materials in the pitch-black night when he can't even see where he's stepping. Just then, a B-ranked daily quest pops up, offering him a list of tasks in exchange for a buff and a random item box. Until now, John had only received E or F-ranked quests, so seeing a B-ranked one catches him off guard. He starts regretting his decision to come out at night, especially after wasting the whole day napping because he caught a silly little snake. He thinks about finishing the quest before his skills reset at midnight, not wanting to miss out. While he's lost in thought, he spots a blue crystal ball on the ground and quickly picks it up. It turns out to be the exact essence the quest asked for, meaning he only needs 9 more. He thought he'd have to defeat monsters to get those items, but it turns out he just needs to search the field. Like the essences are playing a game of hide and seek. The quest is more annoying than he expected, and if it weren't a B-ranked one, he probably would have forgotten about it already, especially with all the running around he has to do to gather these glowing orbs. Just as he gets ready to continue, a monster eagle ambushes him from behind. The huge bird almost gets him, but he manages to dodge just in time, narrowly avoiding disaster. The whole dodging thing feels strange because he didn't think he had it in him. Then it hits him that maybe this is thanks to using both his brilliant authority and resistance skills together. Without wasting time, he fires off a fireball and takes out the eagle in an instant. The explosion catches the attention of a few nearby raiders, who start wondering who's out hunting monsters in the middle of the night. Their leader is fired up and eager to take down Kanal before anyone else can steal the spotlight. When his team asks what to do if other players show up, he coldly tells them to wipe out anyone who comes without hesitation. Back with John, he's done with the monster hunting part of the quest. He's collected 9 out of the 10 essences, making it look like he might finish the quest well before midnight. He's even survived in the field for over an hour now, so all he needs is that last glowing essence. Just then, he hears a loud noise, and when he turns to see what it is, he spots a massive, angelic monster hovering in the sky. This sight bugs him, because his guild raid is scheduled for tomorrow, and if things keep going this way, the boss monster might get taken out before they even arrive. The masked raiders start their attack on the boss monster Kanal, adding to his worry as the whole situation spirals out of control. At that moment, a new quest pops up for John, asking him to conquer an F-rank special field. On top of that, another B-ranked field sub-quest appears, telling him to take down the boss that has invaded Earth and completely destroy the special field. John thinks about what conquer really means, since there aren't any extra details explaining what he needs to do. He wonders if he's supposed to capture the monster himself, taking it as a free opportunity. He decides not to overthink it and just relaxes, planning to enjoy the chaos from a safe distance. Right then, the masked group manages to bring the winged angelic monster crashing down. They announce that it's their chance to finish off the beast and grab the reward. Meanwhile, John sits comfortably on the grass, enjoying the action like he's watching a late-night movie. He learns that the monster has fallen because its health is below 50%, which means it can't fly anymore. This also signals the start of the third phase of the boss fight, where Kanal powers up with a huge buff. A gust of wind blows, and John shields his eyes from the dust. In that moment, he spots the last essence he's been searching for. He jumps up to grab it, humming a tune and thinking about how easy it was to find. Just as he picks it up, the masked raiders nearby get knocked over. They scramble to their feet and notice John on the ground. They approach him, asking who he is, and assume he's one of their comrades, urging him to get up quickly because they'll need him for the mages. John stands up with a mask in his hand, wondering who these suspicious guys are, but decides to go along with them for now. As he walks away with them, he quietly thanks the guy whose mask he snagged. As he joins the group, his quest system pings, letting him know the quest is complete, and the B-rank made quest buff gets applied to him. While one user locks blades with the boss to keep it away from the others, someone starts bombarding it from a distance with blazing blue flames. Every raider wonders who could be behind such powerful magic. John feels a bit grimy about dealing massive damage from the sidelines and snagging all the loot without putting himself at real risk. He's stuck trying to figure out what to do with the strong quest buff, since doing too little might raise suspicion, but going all out would put him in the spotlight. Still, he can't deny how fun it is to wreck the boss monster with his overpowered stats. It doesn't take long for the group to catch on when he gets a bit too carried away. Just then, the boss fires off one of its skills, summoning powerful monsters to the island. As the boss chants the spell, griffins and rhinos suddenly appear, forcing the raiders to split their forces to deal with the chaos. A group of clueless outsiders stumbles onto the scene, wondering why a raid is happening before the announced time, which ticks off the masked guys running the whole operation. When one outsider dares to question them, the masked leader doesn't hesitate to cut him down. Knowing things will spiral out of control if their side operation gets exposed, he shouts at his crew to wipe out every outsider on the spot using whatever means necessary. This completely shocks John, because he didn't expect these lunatics to go as far as murder. Watching the raiders go wild on the innocent group, John figures that running for his life might be the smartest plan. Just then, Hyung and his crew roll in to save the day, and John realizes he's in deep trouble. The raid leader laughs in Hyung's face, mocking how his patchwork team can't do anything and calling him out for crashing their raid like a hero. But Hyung calmly fires back, saying it's stupid to think he can get away with killing people, let alone stealing a boss. With a grin that screams madness, he tells the psycho that nobody will even remember their names, then dives into the group of raiders like they're nothing. One guy brushes past John, casually telling him to move as he starts planning how to escape this disaster. Right after that, the boss begins attacking everyone in sight, and the raiders decide their best shot at landing the final blow is to take out all the healers first. As chaos erupts around him, John starts sweating harder than ever, desperately trying to figure out a way to bring down the boss before everything spirals completely out of control. His thoughts are cut short as Hyung charges through the meat shields like a killing machine, slicing down anyone in his way. Meanwhile, Heeji and her brother are busy taking out bug monsters when a raider tries to sneak up on her from behind. Just as he's about to strike, blue flames erupt around her, incinerating the raider before he can even land a hit, leaving Heeji in shock. She turns to see the robed figure controlling those deadly flames, realizing he just protected her by attacking his own team. At the same time, the timer ticks closer to midnight while John dodges through Hyung's party, sprinting like he's in a race just to stay alive. When the clock finally hits midnight, he quickly pulls out his phone to copy the next skill. Meanwhile, the composed knight is still battling monsters like a pro. John activates his new buff and casually points at the enemies, launching a fireball that explodes like a volcano, turning the monsters to ash. Pyeon watches in disbelief. The raid leader clicks his tongue in frustration and reluctantly teams up with John to finish off the remaining mobs. Covered in buffs, John goes wild under the effects of his blood frenzy skill, which boosts his stats with every kill. He fires off one last scorching fireball at the boss, knocking it into a deep sleep. The blast scorches everything in its path, and the raiders wonder if that final blow actually did the trick. But John's excitement quickly turns to frustration when he realizes it's not over yet. With a terrifying shift in presence, the boss enters its final phase. It draws its massive sword and brings it down with such force that Heeji's brother barely manages to block the shockwave using his defensive skill. The impact sends everyone flying, and John feels a chill run down his spine, thinking he might be done for. Suddenly, an unexpected guy swoops in to save the day. As John stares at him, lost for words, the man casually tells him he owes him a favor now. No big deal. After getting saved by Heeji's brother, John immediately fires off his fireball skill at Kanal, blasting the monster to pieces right in front of Hyung. Kanal goes down, and the pile of loot circling its remains shows it was part of a boss system. Haesung steps up to claim the boss loot and coldly warns the raiders to step aside without causing trouble. The raider leader, who wanted to snag the boss for himself, argues back, reminding everyone not to underestimate their powerful mage. Meanwhile, John gets a notification saying the main quest is cleared, and he's about to be teleported to the tutorial field to pick his rewards. The raider guy stares at him, feeling like John looks oddly familiar, but can't quite place him. Just then, John casually slides in and grabs the reward from the boss monster. By the time the masked raider realizes he's in front of the infamous psychopath, John has already snatched the reward, grinning and claiming it belongs to him since he took down the monster. The masked guy and Hyung rush forward to grab the item, but just before they can reach it, John's system activates and finishes the teleportation, leaving everyone behind, fuming in rage, fully aware they've just been scammed. Once he arrives in the tutorial field, John starts to wonder if he really did pull off a scam on them. Suddenly, a flood of system notifications pops up in front of him, overwhelming him. He tries to figure out if they're all reward alerts, but before he can start reading, a tiny fairy appears and introduces herself as Ego. She explains that she's his official tutorial assistant, and now that he's completed his main quest, it's her job to guide him through the rest of the tutorial. John starts feeling anxious and argues that no one mentioned anything about a tutorial assistant. He wonders if this is something special tied to his unique traits. The tiny fairy politely asks for permission to begin the reward collection process. Once he agrees, she brings up a panel for a detailed trade upgrade. She explains that trait upgrades work like second evolutions, enhancing a person's abilities by adding new traits. She reveals the full list of abilities John currently has and asks him to pick one to upgrade. John thinks it over and first considers leveling up his unearned income skill, figuring it might boost the SP he earns from attacks. But then he realizes he's still too weak and starts thinking about what could have happened if the raid took place before midnight and his skills hadn't reset. He might not have stood a chance against Kanal. Taking everything into account, he decides that boosting the number of available skills would be the smartest move right now. So, he picks the sample for skill copy and gives it a major upgrade. Even though he feels a bit let down that it gets reduced to 2 parts, the fact that he now has 4 copies available per day lifts his spirits. His eyes light up with excitement as he wonders if there's a chance he might eventually push that number all the way to 8 copies instead of. Julian just finished a tough battle, and as usual, he's feeling pretty pumped about his new sword. He gets a reward box from the main quest that gives him a nice boost in skill points, SP, which really lifts his spirits. But wait, there's more. He also unlocks a bonus that adds a new sub-trait to one of his skills, and this time he has a whole extra row of options to pick from. Excited, he checks out the loot he got from the boss. To his surprise, it's an SS grade cursed necklace that gives him a huge stat boost. He's blown away and starts thinking about how tough the boss must have been if the loot is this good. Curious, he checks the boss's skill and finds out that if the boss's health had dropped below 10%, it would have healed completely and gotten a massive stat boost that would have made it impossible for him to take the boss down alone. Noticing his SP has hit over 20,000, he quickly starts investing it into his skills, focusing on one that keeps him safe. He keeps adding points, feeling stronger with each upgrade. Once he's done, he collapses on the floor, feeling satisfied but exhausted, knowing he's done for now. Just as he's about to relax, Ego, the fairy, drops a bombshell. The real tutorial is just starting. She reminds him of a line from the main quest about the survival of Earth and humanity. Juyin is confused and asks what that means. Ego explains that it means their world is about to be attacked by invaders from another dimension. Meanwhile, on Earth, a group of soldiers is guarding a portal gate. After the raid, Hyasung talks to reporters, saying his team took a beating from the raiders who stole their boss. He mentions that they managed to defeat the boss, but the raiders escaped after landing the final blow. A journalist asks about the boss's loot, and Hyasung says it boosts stats, but he's annoyed by the constant questions and walks away. Back at her apartment, Fire Lady is watching the news on her phone. Her brother jokes that the guy who saved her would have been crushed if he faced Hyasung alone. Fire Lady is curious about Juin and calls him to find out more. She recognizes him by his gear and hints that he's the mage who saved her. Juin tries to play it cool, but she's sharp and figures out it's him. He brushes her off, saying he was busy, and hangs up, relieved that she won't be calling him again anytime soon. As he relaxes, he thinks about the tutorial world and how that annoying voice kept reminding him that monsters are invading and it's his job to save everyone. Ego told him he has a special skill given to him by divine beings for this mission, but he feels like just an average guy with nothing special about him. The voice reassures him that he's a unique user who has already defeated many beasts and earned rewards. Ego then tells him he doesn't really have a choice in all this. When he asks what she means, she explains that he's not a big deal, but just someone chosen to carry divine shards to save the world. How he uses his powerful skill is up to him. She asks if he wants to take the easy route and just use his skill for personal gain, or step up and save the world. In the end, she tells him that being a hero doesn't mean he has to choose the hard path. It's his decision. Back in the present, Julian thinks that saving the world sounds way too complicated for a regular guy like him. He'd much rather think about enjoying some crispy chicken and cold beer after a hot bath than any heroic destiny. Meanwhile, Fire Lady is thrilled to confirm that the mysterious mage is indeed Julian, as everything about him matches up perfectly with her wild theories. Her brother watches her, puzzled, as she insists she needs to meet him in person to be sure. He questions why she's so interested in someone he sees as a loser. A teenage girl points at a part that says the mage is S-ranked, grinning as she explains that users in S-ranked areas could die at any moment. If she wants to rise to the top, she needs that crazy mage by her side. Her brother isn't surprised and lets out a tired sigh, saying he's sick of dealing with his annoying sister.